Okay, what you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So guys, you know exactly what time it is. Another weekly Forex breakdown on the screen of the pairs that we'll be analyzing today. But make sure you do stay to the end of the video because I do have a bonus pair in store. So make sure you stay to the end to find out which pair that is. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna go through my trades first for the week. And then we'll jump into the video. Of course, there are timestamps on the video. So if you're looking at a particular pair, don't really care for my trades, jump into that if you want to. But I did take two positions this week, Euro Yen long and gold short. One win and one loss. Euro Yen, this pair did tank to the downside. So, you know, very good thing to use a stop loss, guys. Always use a stop loss. But yeah, for this one, I was looking for the market to return to these highs, basically just using the higher time frame trend and momentum. I was expecting another continuation back to these highs and further. However, yen gained strength, broke through the support I was buying from, which was this low here, broke through that support, and then of course the market can completely tumble to the downside. So took a loss for that one, but did manage to secure some nice profits on gold coming into this low here. My entry was around this candle there, stop loss above the highs. The market formed that resistance last week and then respected it again this week, so went short from that level because again gold is very bearish right now. There's a lot of bearish momentum, so I wasn't expecting gold to see too much upside if it didn't get past this level. If it did, now I'll look to get in around there, but prices respected that level, so got short for gold. Did manage to bank some nice profits at this low around 1654. The market did spike into that low because of FOMC, big spike to that level, managed to kill some profits and go break even. And then, you know, a few minutes later, maybe like 20 minutes later, the market flipped bullish, it came and knocked me out my trade. So good trade management with that one. But again, doesn't really change anything into what I'm looking to do with gold. I'm still looking for gold to bleed a lot further. Of course, I'll go into more detail in the video. But yeah, we'll go into EURUSD. We'll start things off with EURUSD. So again, very bearish for this pair. Again, overall bias is still to the downside, and we've obviously taken out those lows. So EURUSD, we still do have long-term targets back down around the 0.5 excuse me, 0.45 area. So this is the high I'm looking for a price to come back and respect. Maybe, to be fair, I'm not too sure if it will respect. It could bleed straight through, but this is where I'm looking for EURUSD to come into. So for me, this gives me a good target to work with. So any kind of decent rally I see for EURUSD, I will be looking to short. So still expecting more downside for this one from current price. If I measure that, we've still got about 170 odd pips to the downside, so still can grab some meaningful trades from this one. Just need to find some retracement, of course. So my main area of interest is this resistance here, trading at 0.8790. So I'm hoping price can get up here. Not too sure it will. Current conditions are very bearish. I'm not too sure EURUSD's got enough in it to come back into that area. So might have to use the hourly time frame to find the area of interest, and I'm looking at this level here at 0.97630 as an area the market could pull back into. You can see those wicks there, beautiful rejection, tap into this area and then continue its downwards trend. So that'll be the first area of interest. Again, not really a trade for me, more on the low time frames, but it is an area of value that I can't ignore. And if the conditions remain the same again next week as it did this week, yeah, I'm not too sure if we'll come back and retest that resistance there, trading it around 0.98730. But that's the plan for EURUSD. Expecting more downside. Downside target is still to be hit there. So shorts are still looking good. Hope we can get a pullback for this one and we don't just tank on Monday. But yeah, expecting more downside. Areas of interest, we've got 0.976 and we've got 0.98790. And downside targets back down to 0.95 for next week for EURUSD. Okay, so now onto USD JPY. So for this pair, still kind of messing around a little bit. Overall for me, consolidation. The market is still bullish in the higher time frames, but we are stalling a little bit here. So for this one on the lower time frames, there's two levels I'm looking at. This high up here, which is at 144.838, and this low here, which is at 141,960. So this is the low and the high of the range that I'll be working with. And again, in this range of market, you want to be looking to sell high and buy low. So if you run into these highs, most likely we're going to get a nice reaction from there. As you can see, strong impulsive move, most likely going to see some type of downside. Again, I wouldn't hold into these shorts for too long. Reason being, this is against the trend. The market is still extremely bullish. Dollar is still extremely bullish. So shorts look good from that level, yes, from a technical perspective. But I just don't expect them to last too long. If we can break through this low here, so break out the range, then the shorts on the flip side will look a lot better. On the retest of that, shorts from there will look a lot better, and that's something you could probably hold a little bit longer. And I'll be looking at 139 as a target, which is the prior swing high on the daily time frame, which will now be turned to support, which we didn't get a retest of when we broke through. So something like that I would be looking at from a short perspective, which looks a lot more appealing. And from longs, again, just looking to play the range, looking to buy a low, which is at the range low, of course. This for me is a big fake out just into that range there on the left. So I'm treating this as the low of the range to buy from. So 141, 142 we'll call it. Nice psychological level there as confidence as well. So yeah, for me, for USD JPY, I'm overall still bullish. So the shorts up here that I'm talking about are pretty much more for day trading purposes. And not holding for too long, but I do think probably get a nice reaction from there. But the main opportunities I'll be looking at is the breakout of the range to the downside and shorts back into 139, or a buy from the low of the range at 142 back to highs, and maybe even higher if the market does want to continue. So that's what I'll be looking at for USD JPY. Not really trying to get involved in the middle of the range. For me, that's a no man's land. Wait for the market to come to an area of value, and that's where you can base a nice trade from. So overall bias for USD JPY still bullish, but looking to see if we can play the range and potentially catch a breakout next week. Okay, now on to USD CAD. So USD CAD flying to the upside this week, smashing through a lot of targets here, 1.33, 1.34, 1.35, and it's actually come into 1.36. So the market's been ridiculously bullish for USD CAD. I still do expect 1.365. Again, using the higher time frames to calculate targets for this one. So that 1.36545 was so close to that level. And next kind of major target for this one is back to the highs of the range, because if you do zoom out, the market's in a range. I'm expecting it to go and test the highs again, and we'll see what the market does at those levels. But that's around the 1.4 mark. So very, very big psychological level. But this level here is very, very important. We could see a slight reaction to the downside from it, or we could just blast straight through. We'll see what type of price action we can get there. But overall, still mainly very, very bullish on USD CAD so far. So still looking for buys into that level for next week. Again, areas of interest, I'm looking at this low here, and I'm also looking at this consolidation back down here. So again, the market's quite bullish. Whether we get to this consolidation, most likely not. If we do, fantastic. We'll look for buys, of course. But the best bet is probably around this level here at 1.34 to 50. So that's why I'll be looking for buys for USD CAD. Hopefully you can get a pullback. Again, not really my cup of tea buying in the low time frames up into that level. If that's what you're looking for, and you're looking for, just understanding the direction of the market, is still pretty bullish. So on the low time frames, that's probably where you want to be focusing your efforts towards. But if you can get a pullback into one of these two levels, fantastic. I'll be looking for that higher low and then push into 1.365, and then main target up there around the 1.4 mark, which may take, actually, I mean, we're flying right now. It may be sooner than expected, but I don't expect us to hit there next week. If we do, that is crazy. So USD CAD, bullish bias, looking for longs for this one. Pull back into one of these two areas is what I'll be looking for. Again, there'll be some nice areas down here, but I just don't see us pulling back that far. The current conditions of the market are telling us that we're seeing a lot of momentum and not a lot of big pullbacks. So there's no real point of looking for the market to have a big pullback or a nice correction, because most likely the market's not going to do that. It's going to see a slight correction, maybe into a strong level, and then it's probably going to fly. So that's what I'm looking at for USD CAD, bullish bias. Next target 1.365, areas of interest 1.34250 and 1.33200, target 1.365, and past that we'll be looking at 1.4. So let's see what we can get on USD CAD for next week. Okay, so now onto Euro Pound. So Euro Pound this week, very, very bullish. As you can see, huge candle on Friday. Obviously helped with the pound weakness there. Most of the week, to be fair, was actually consolidating until Friday actually, just exploded to the upside. Again, it is hitting our target. So again, the direction is still pretty much on point with this one. Looking for us to come into this area, that broken support. We never got the retest. Price is finally retesting that. But looking on the higher time frames, we can understand that, again, similar to USD CAD, the market's in a big consolidation, and we'll be expecting the market to come back into the highs of the consolidation, which I've got around this area here. You can see a lot of wicks into this level, around the 0.9. Wow, that is pretty much on the dot. That was completely fluke. But yeah, it lines up perfectly with the 0.91 psychological level. So that's why I do see the market heading. Simply we rejected the low of the range. Now I see us coming back to the high of the range. We'll see what the market can do up there. But for me, there's still more upside for Euro Pound. So with this one, with that bias, we're waiting for correction. Again, I'm not expecting anything major in terms of correction. It would be nice if we can come back and revisit, obviously, the prior high over there. Will we do that before we hit that? Not too sure we will, so we have to use lower time frames for that. So on the 4H, we do obviously have this high over here. That'd be fantastic if you can come and retest that level there, and we can use that to go long. Again, will we get there? Maybe not. If we do, of course, as traders, we have to be reactive. So if the market does get down here, that'll be a great opportunity to buy it back up again. But you're most likely going to have to start using levels on the hourly time frames. A nice level over here on the 0.88194 level. So this area could prove to be a nice area to buy from. Again, wait for any confirmations, but probably going to have to drop to the low time frames to take part in this move. But yeah, for me, very, very, very bullish still for Euro Pound. I still see this pushing up to 0.91. So a nice downside move on the hourly probably starts to find support, getting ready to buy back up. Those are my areas of interest, but who knows, that the market could open up bullish, consolidate for maybe 2 days and then continue up, and it may never come anywhere near those areas. So again, have to stay reactive to be able to take advantage of that opportunity. But if we do get some downside into those areas, buys is what I'll be looking for, and targets long term all the way back up to 0.91. Okay, so now on to AUD/USD. So for this one, bleeding to the downside again, not dollar strength present in the markets, and AUD/USD definitely suffering from that. And I still do think there's more downside for this one. Again, we've been going over targets on the streams and other videos, but I'm looking for price to come into these areas. This is the big COVID spike that we had, crash that we had into 0.61346, and the low of the wick down to 0.55088. That's what I'm expecting price to make its way to, as long as we stay below 0.7, which is looking pretty likely at this point now. So yeah, AUD/USD buys clearly short until we get there. Any rallies I see, I'm looking to short pretty much. So as for levels of interest, because we're kind of trading in the middle of nowhere a little bit, so difficult to work with price action if you look to the left. But if you just focus on this, we do have some areas of interest. There's three I'm looking at, which is this high there, this high there, again, where price started to build up momentum, and particularly this high up there. So where I want price to get to is all the way up to this high. That would be fantastic, because catch the next probably lower high of the move and can really hold onto those shorts for quite a while. But will we get there? Probably not. So this is probably the main area of interest for the week. I do think price can get there because it's not as bearish as some of the other pairs. So I think we could see a nice correction here on AUD/USD, but obviously we'll wait and see. But yeah, the terms of direction, everything is to the downside for AUD/USD. There could be some nice short-term longs again for people looking to trade counter trend. That definitely will be a possibility. But if you're looking for swings or just to stay on the right side of the market, for example, shorts is definitely your best bet. So that's what I'll be looking at for AUD/USD. Again, targets a little bit difficult with this one. Probably have to use the psychological levels as targets, because I don't think you'll probably be going to be looking at targeting the COVID lows just yet, because we're still pretty far away from that. Again, just trying to tidy this up a little bit so you guys can see it clearly. There we go. So yeah, targets for this one, you can target the low that price starts to retrace from, wherever that forms. It could be there, it could be slightly lower. Or you can be looking at some psychological levels. We've got 0.65, the market, which is around here, we should mark on the chart. So 0.65, the market could be attracted to around there. 0.645 around here as well could be a nice target. But yeah, those are the kind of levels I'll be working with as targets. If you're looking for the big swing, it's all the way down there, but yeah, not too sure if we get that in one go. But yeah, that's the plan for USD CAD. USD CAD, where did that come from? AUD USD. Yeah, so areas of interest, 0.66595, second 0.67265, and third 0.67565. All we're trying to do is just catch that next lower high, that next leg, and ride it to the downside. So that's the plan for next week for AUD. Okay, so now on to NZD CAD. So NZD CAD here, very, very bearish. Well, it's actually picking up the pace a little bit. It's been very corrective, but starting to pick up the pace. And this one's actually been Mr. Consistent, because the lower highs and the lower lows have just been, you know, in sync with each other for quite some time now, as you can see. In fact, if I just draw the channel the price has been working with for some time, you can see the market's been just trading beautifully within that structure, but it's starting to pick up the pace now, because you can see the last lower high we just formed here didn't come back to retest the high of the range, and now we're starting to break through the low of the trend line. So the market is becoming increasingly bearish here. Oh, did not mean to do that. Increasingly bearish here. And again, the higher time frames are bearish, so it kind of does make sense where the market's starting to pick up pace now. And we still do have that target which price hasn't quite tested, but it's definitely not too far away, which is this monthly support and resistance. We could go further than this. This is just kind of the first target where the market could start to slow down, maybe see some upside. It could definitely break through, come to areas down here. That is still definitely on the card. So even though this is the higher time frame target, don't just jump into buys. Wait for the market to display some type of shift in structure, higher highs and higher lows, and then we can interpret some buys. But for me, I'm still very much bearish on this pair, so I would only be looking for sales for this one. So our main area of interest is a retest of the consolidation. Again, it would be nice if the market was maybe to come back to the high of the trend line, or tap into that previous high over there. But again, the market's quite bearish. I'm not too sure if we'll see that type of pullback come into the market, but if it does, great. Again, bias is still short, so nothing's really changed from that. Just gives us a better-ish toward to work with. So that's the plan for NZD CAD. Looking for shorts for this one. Those are my areas of interest. The consolidation here, retest it, which is at around about 0.78549, and back into that high there at 0.79464, and targets, like I said, this monthly level there at 0.77700. So that's the plan for NZD CAD. Still bearish on this one. Might see a reaction from that monthly support, but of course do wait for some structure to shift before looking for buys. But for me, I'm still bearish, so hopefully you can get pullback from somewhere. And yeah, look to short it back down and just ride that higher time frame trend for next week. Okay, so now on to pound NZD. So as you can see, this one absolutely melted on Friday. Of course, the pound weakness did affect all pound pairs. So pound NZD did not miss out on any of that action. But again, nothing's really changed from our bias. You know, it's still very much to the downside. The market has been climbing to the upside over the past few days. But again, we are looking for that lower high to print, and I can confidently say it's most likely printed now. I was actually looking last week for this to be the lower high. We did have a pretty nice bearish candle there, and I was expecting momentum to kick in and see us come back to the lows. But the market just wants to have one final kick to the upside, take out those highs, create some new highs around this area here, and then absolutely melt to the downside using that pound weakness to help it out. But targets are still to take out those lows and probably go further. And again, if you do take out those lows, I'll be looking at price coming into this monthly support here as well, which is at 1.852. So that's long term. I see the market going, but we do need to take up those lows first. Of course, we have to get there. But yeah, this is the first major target, because that will show us that the bears are really taking control. So yeah, with pound NZD, one high there, second, third, and now most likely going to be the fourth. So the plan for next week is just to find the next lower high. wait for the pullback in the week, or during the week, maybe Monday, Tuesday, we see some upside, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we fall, or we might open bearish because as you can see, the market's still quite bearish. So there's a chance we could gap to the downside, keep going, maybe take out the low, then pull back midweek and then continue back down again. And that is definitely a case, but of course we react and adapt to that. My main area of interest for pound NZD is this prior low there, which is actually the low from last week. So that would be beautiful if the market could retrace into this area. Do I think it will? Probably not. But I will set an alert. I will stay focused on this level because that is really the level that I want to short it from. But I doubt we'll probably come in and test that area. So there's also this key level here that has caught my attention at 1.95. You can see really nice support here in the market, and again support there, which actually gave us that move to the upside. So again, it's probably not the best level in the world. Preferably would want to short it up there, but the market is looking very, very bearish, so I might see some upside, kiss the level, and then fall over. So I don't want to ignore this 1.95 level because it could be our best bet to actually get involved in the move. So yeah, pound NZD in terms of bias and targets is very, very much to the downside, and we've got the wick low at 1.87130, and we've got that key level there at 1.852. That's what we're looking at for pound NZD over the next couple of weeks or 2-3 weeks, something like that. But yeah, so pound NZD short bias, target 1.87130, areas of interest 1.89400 and 1.9. And yeah, we'll see if we can get some shorts for next week for this one. Okay, so up next, CAD Yen. So for this one, a lot more downside this week. I was expecting the market to bounce from this level, and we did, to be fair, a slight bullish candle then on Monday. So we did see some upside. But the market was well and truly bearish this week, breaking through that structure. So for CAD Yen, nothing really has changed too much in terms of my overall bias because structure is still in place from a bullish perspective on the higher time frames. Higher highs and higher lows are still intact. We've got a higher low down there, which created a new higher high up there. But the only thing I'm looking at that can actually convince me that this is about to collapse here is what's going on in the monthly time frame. So I've been looking at this level here for quite some time. This is originally where I expected the market to see some downside for CAD Yen maybe a month ago. But then we went and broke through on the weekly. However, we're coming back underneath, and we've got 6 days and 4 hours left before this monthly candle closes for September. So if you can close underneath this level here, I'm looking at that wick there being as a big fake out, and we're tapping back into this strong level of resistance supply where you can see the market seeing a lot of downside, and we could be coming back down to some of these areas here. Very, very strong resistance. On the left there was support, briefly resistance again. We broke through, never got the retest. We could be drawn to some of those areas there, but of course, a bit more long term. But as you can see, the market is still struggling at that area. So for CAD Yen, I do think buys are still, again, probably the best bet for this one. But with the high time frame information, I wouldn't hold on to these buys for too long. And I'll be looking to see if I can actually get some sells, maybe from up here if the market is kind enough to retrace into that area. But you can see this is a strong resistance here. The market gave us a nice move to the downside and ripped to the upside. So this most likely would give us a reaction to the upside. So for the first kind of stages of the week, looking for long opportunities for a push back to the upside. And again, it's just staying in tune with that higher time frame trend, which is still to the upside. But because we know on the monthly time frame we're having a hard time continuing, if we can get some shorts, preferably from this resistance here, coming back into that daily price swing high over there on the left, I will gladly look to short here and expect to see another continuation back to the downside. So that's the plan for CAD Yen. Again, we may not even come up there before rolling over. I still do think that some buys would be good from this level, but of course manage it as you go along. But if we can get up there, sales will be looking very, very good, and we can probably see some nice downside, and maybe the start of a reversal for CAD Yen. But that is the plan. That's the plan for CAD Yen. trapped in between two key levels, 105.088, we'll just call it 105, and 107.250, and just looking to buy and sell from those levels and just take advantage of that range for CAD for next week. Okay, so now onto Pound USD, which is currently melting as well. As you can see, very, very bearish. We're currently trading at 1.085, which is crazy. Again, we still do have lower targets though, which for me, I believe is the all-time low. Again, this is far as data goes back to January 1971. And we've got this low here in 84, and that's the low I'm expecting price to take out. Again, we've taken out this huge critical level at 1.4. I'm expecting us to go make that journey to take out those lows. So for me, there's still more downside for Pound USD, and still quite a bit as well. If I was to measure that move in pips from current price, we're still looking at about 300 odd pips to the downside. So if you haven't taken part in any shorts in pound, I still do see more of that. So now we just need to look for a retracement to get involved. So for me, my area of interest is back at this resistance here, but it's very, very far up. And will we get there? Probably not. So with this one, with the current momentum, you want to be using the lower time frames to mark areas for potential pullbacks and looking to enter the market. So using the hourly time frame, I do have a nice area here where the market stalled for a little bit, fried some wicks to the upside, and again we saw a nice drive to the downside. So could look at price revisiting this area here again, maybe midweek, and then we see the continuation back down to the downside targets. Again, the low that the price pulled back from, or again using the psychological levels, or you can target the all-time low if you're feeling brave. But in terms of direction, still expecting the market to roll over. So for Pound USD, those are my areas of interest. You can see this level here on the hourly time frame is trading in around about 1.0106, 1.106, bit of a mouthful, and that is my area up there, basically that consolidation there, but I don't see us revisiting that level around 1.13. So for Pound USD, a pullback into one of those areas, looking for the next low high. Again, momentum in the market is still very, very bearish, so asking a big retracement from the market is just not likely to happen. So with this one, I would recommend sticking to those lower time frames and just taking those pieces of the cake really, and not being in the trade for too long. Take advantage of the momentum and the current conditions, and yeah, look for those shorts. Again, you can look for longs if you want to, just be very, very risky, and you're better off just focusing on the short term and just grabbing those pips to the downside. So that's the plan for Pound USD. Areas of interest 1.106 and 1.13, and targets all-time lows at 1.05300. Okay, now on to Pound CAD, which, yeah, huge move to the downside. This one did not mess around, and it's gone and taken out those, if I go in the monthly chart, it's gone and taken out these lows here. And again, we do have those all-time lows, which is what I'm interpreting these lows to be, not these lows here. If I go in the quarterly time frame, this low down here looks like where Pound CAD is actually headed towards, which is at 1.45600. So still a bit more juice in the tank for this one, still a bit more fuel in the tank, expecting the market to most likely go and take out those lows. Again, retracement, ideas, are we going to retrace and hit the consolidation up here? That'd be great if we can come back and revisit this area. Eventually probably will come back to test this area, but next week price probably going to form a lower high somewhere and roll over before it actually gets to those highs. So again, using the hourly time frame, area of interest for me would be this area here, which is not too far from that resistance, but again, it could make a lot more sense if the market comes up, hits this area and goes down, and just miss entries up there. We can still look to take part at 1.49600. So plan for Pound CAD is down to 1.54600. And all we're looking for is just retracement to get involved and trade it. Direction is looking pretty clear, and all we need to do is find an area, location where it makes sense to sell it. And for me, I'm looking at obviously the consolidation, trading in around 1.505, but this hourly level here will be of importance as well, and most likely get a reaction if we get there, of course. But again, this one could gap down and head bearish Monday and just take up those lows for the week, which is not bad because we'll expect retracement and then we can straw it back down again. It just means that price has already taken out those lows. But yeah, for pound CAD, that's what I'm looking at. Everything's still pretty bearish. It would be nice if we can come back and retest that support, but I'm not too sure we will. But in terms of direction and targets, still looking for more downside for pound CAD, and 1.456 most likely is its next destination. Okay, so now on to pound yen, which was not messing around this week. Very, very bearish, as you can see, and taking out some critical lows here, especially this low, which is our prior swing low of the market. You can see we formed the high up there, higher low, higher high, and now the market's taking out that just after forming a lower high there. So for me, for pound yen, this is very much looking like a top of a trend to me. So we could be starting to see a lot more downside for this one soon come. You can see we've got the high, higher high, and the lower high. Market's gradually topped out here, and I don't see us taking out those highs for quite some time. So I'm looking at this general area here of 168, 169 being the lower, not lower high, well, probably a lower high in like the monthly time frame, but being a high of this bullish trend that we've seen over the past maybe couple of years now. And we could be looking at toppling over, and I'm looking at pound yen coming back down into this area here. Coming into the week, we said we were looking for some short-term buys and some sells as well. I said a nice little bounce from this level will be good. We did see that briefly, but the market did break through. I said some sells from up here would be nice. We didn't quite come into that level at 165. 164 held as resistance, was support resistance there, and that fell to the downside, and obviously the yen strength kicked in, and pound weakness kicked in, everything kicked in the market's history after that. So what do I expect now for pound JPY? Like I said, more downside into this area. 151, 600 is the next target for this one, and pretty much just all the prior swing lows are the targets now, is where I see this one heading towards. So if you break through that low, 149, 400 is going to be the next swing target for this one. But now we need to find some retracement. Obviously, a retest of this structure would be fantastic. I'm not too sure we will get it though. If we do, 100% we'll be looking to short there. Nice bullish candle there into that level then the 4H. So coming back into 163.56, a push into that level, 100% we'll be looking to play some shorts there upon some confirmation, of course. But 100% I'll be looking to get involved here and probably look to push the trade as far as possible. But similar to pound USD, we might not see that retracement happen. So there's this level here on the hourly. I've noticed here at 158.119, which could be a nice level the market could maybe find resistance at and see the next bearish leg, just because it might be too bearish to actually come up and retest that broken structure. So that level there will be a level of interest as well. Let me extend that across a little bit. And again, targets for this one, like I said, the next kind of low is at 151.700, 151.500 we'll call it. Nice psych level there. And yeah, only looking for shorts, not interested in longs one bit. Again, I do expect to see some upside eventually, because a very impulse move to the downside, the market is quite overextended. So naturally, you do expect the market to retrace back up, but it's just not a trade that I want to be a part of. I definitely am a seller in this market, and that's the direction I'll be trading in. So that's what I'll be looking at. Preferably a 160.356 up there, but we might only come as high as 158, 110, and shorts back down to 151.500 for next week. Okay, so now on to gold. So like I said, for this one, bearish, still looking for the market to come a lot lower. Targets for this one, 1550. We can look at 1600 before that though. Strong psychological level most likely will give us a reaction, but this is the support I'm looking for us to come and test, breakthrough, whatever. But that's where I'm seeing the market head towards for gold over the next week or two. See how long it takes us to get there. But yeah, now we're just looking for entries, really pullback entries. Of course, we've got this consolidation, fantastic plays which are not too far away, so I can definitely see the market, not definitely, don't want to say the word definitely, but good possibility we can come back and retest this range here. Before we see the next drop, I'll mark out 1600 because that could be a nice little target to have. But 1550, that may be, you know, for the next couple or 3 weeks ahead. So keep that in mind. But that's what I'm looking at gold coming into. If we do see some upside, then I'll be looking at this consolidation here. But again, I'm not too sure we will come into that level. Either which way, you know, I'll mark it on, because it is definitely an area of interest. And if we get there and break through this range, you know, I'm still going to be looking to short, but just up there. So again, when I do draw these ranges, I'm talking about the low of the range really. So basically that support there, broken and turn resistance. But obviously I'm just marking out the range just so you guys know what range I'm talking about. Same thing with this one. So area of interest 1660 and 1700 actually. So that's a really nice psychological level confluence there. So if you do get up there, great, fantastic. We can look for that next bearish leg and your shorts the downside. I doubt we will get there though, which is why I'll be focusing on this low here, maybe even the high of the range if we do break inside. So, you know, that is not too bad. Still looking for the same thing. But in terms of direction, everything, shorts for gold, looking for more downside, retest of the range at 1659, next target 1600, and then 1550. And now on to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, again, not looking good either. Still kind of stuck in this kind of bigger consolidation. We do have our swing lows down here, which the market is slowly working its way towards. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some new lows past 17,592 for Bitcoin. So bias for this one, since we're still taking out lows here, is the downside for this one, and mainly focusing on sell opportunities. Again, would be fantastic if we can work away to 20,317, which does line up quite nicely with that resistance there. So that for me is the main area of interest. We might not get there, price might continue to consolidate and spill over, but if we can have a bit of a break to the upside, you know, look for that next lower high and then move back down, that'd be fantastic to base some shorts from and then move to the downside. Other than that, like I said, we've got consolidation here, which the market, you know, may not actually break through, and it may just kind of roll slowly over. So you can be looking to play the range from 19,551, and again, targets at the low of the range, and then if you're lucky, you can get the breakout to go and take out those weekly swing lows at 17,592. Yeah, but it would be nice if you can push into that 20k level and retest that and see the downside move from there. But beggars cannot be choosers. So that's the plan for Bitcoin. Looking for us to go and see if we can take out those lows. Not really interested in buys. I know we're at a nice level, so I wouldn't really what's the word? Buys just still look good because of where we're trading. We're still at a critical level of support. As you can see on the weekly time frame, you know, resistance here, our price swing high, you know, still acting as support. So buys do definitely make sense. It's just that in current momentum and what I expect from the dollar, I do think Bitcoin can roll over still, which is why I'm only looking to sell this one until we take out those lows. So that's the plan for Bitcoin. Areas of interest, 19,476 and 20,317, and targets to take out those lows at 17,592. Okay, so now onto our bonus pair, which is pound MXN on request. So for this one, very, very bearish. Of course, another pound pair bleeding to the downside. And I've actually had a brief look at this one on the higher time frames. And you can see we've actually been melting, breaking through quite a lot of important structure. We are coming to an area we could bounce from. But under current conditions, we could easily still break through that. So with this one, I do think there could be some short-term buys. If we can get some good signals in this area, but again, I'll still be favoring the shorts and wouldn't really be looking to hold those buys for too long, and mainly looking at price probably breaking through this monthly level and going further. So areas of interest from a selling perspective, I'll be looking at this area here, a nice level there on the hourly time frame where price could come back into react with. Preferably, you know, that consolidation would be nice, but I'm not too sure if we'll get there. So, you know, if you want to get involved next week, I reckon 224118 would probably be your best bet. And buys, again, there's not a lot of structure to work with, but if something can develop, you know, in this area, could probably see some nice buys to the upside. But do wait for confirmations. Pound is extremely bearish. I wouldn't be surprised if pound pairs do gap to the downside and continue on Monday and bleed to the downside. So do be careful. But mainly for this one, like I said, just staying with that trend. Higher time frames are still bearish, especially if you're trading on the lower. No real need to be looking to buy this one. Just stick with the sells. Again, targets for this one, you know, basically wherever the market pulls back from. If it forms a low here and starts to pull back, that could be a nice target. Or you can look at the psychological levels there. We're trading at 22. That's a nice target to have. We've got 21,500 below it. So it's up to you where you want to look. Or 21,750 as well. So it's up to you where you want to target. But in terms of entry, that would be a great area. Even better would be the consolidation up there. But like I said, I doubt we will come and get there. But if we do, great, we can base some shorts to the downside from that area as well. So yeah, for pound MXN, still bearish bias, high time frames, monthly, weekly, daily, 4H, everything displaying a lot of bearish momentum. So for the week, all you're just looking for is a pullback and then ride that momentum to the downside as well. So yeah, for this one, more downside areas of interest, 22.4 and 22.87. And yeah, expecting probably some new lows again next week. Okay guys, so that is the end of the video. Hope you all found that useful. If you did, please be sure to leave a like on the video. If you found it informative, useful, you know, it helps you out if you're trading, be sure to leave a like on the channel. Subscribe if you haven't done already. If you're resonating with the video, with the content, please be sure to subscribe, become part of the family. I stream every week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And obviously I post these videos analyzing for the upcoming week. So yeah guys, hopefully you found the video useful. Any other bonus pair requests, put it down in the comments. I'll be sure to take a look at it. But yeah guys, have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.